Ladies and gentlemen, the time has finally arrived. It is time for znubz and The Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap. Take it away.
There I am. Hello. This is The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, and I'm sorry that we had kind of technical issues, but we're going to pretty much get right into this. So I'm going to reset the game to restart the timer, and then when I click select, we'll start the game. And start. Yeah. So this is an intro cutscene. We're gonna watch it, but I guess to like preface, like the beginning half of this game is gonna be kind of a let's play. There's not a lot of glitches to go on, but it's gonna be really movement heavy. The route has been changed a bit for a later item that we get. We're gonna be grabbing a couple kinstones in comparison to old routes, and we were able to skip some different rupees because of the way that we grab kinstones in certain rooms. So if you've seen a run from the last time I ran or a GDQ, it might be a little bit different. Welcome back.
So, Nubs, can you tell us a little bit about the lore here with the beginning?
Link is sleeping, and Zelda's trying to get him go to the festival because Zelda and Link are friends, and she's tired of him sleeping. But I can't read Japanese, and I haven't played this game on English in a long time, so I can't quite say for sure. The only letter I can see is Z, which I input as my name. We'll soon be getting right into the lore. It's good. So the save file reset worked, so we did get that blue rupee at the start. That's pretty important for the way the route works. So yeah, here's the festival. All the people happy, cheery. Yeah, and instead of getting us anything super useful, Zelda decides to get us a little shield. Yeah, for some reason we can just block that sideways. Don't worry about it. That's not soft launch here. If you roll the same frame that you talk to him, the game will just freeze, and then you have to restart from the entire beginning because there's no save yet. So don't do that. And this is an award ceremony. And here's the mage body. Unbeknownst to us until soon, is evil.
Nubs, are there any differences between the Japanese and North American version besides the language?
Well, obviously the main thing is text speed. We don't know quite how much, but it is a bit faster. But the main difference is there's a few tricks that haven't been patched out. One notably in the Fortress of Winds, which skips getting the boss key, and also just some different layouts for the guards in certain areas, just making things a little bit easier. And we won't get to the guards or the dungeon until after the first 2 dungeons, so we won't get to see the big differences yet, but we'll just get to see me pound through these dungeons and get into the late game where things really get interesting. And one thing that is important actually on file select is to make sure your text speed is set to fast, because that wastes like, I think it's like 30 seconds by the first dungeon. It's quite an amount. I remember when I first started learning the game, I completely forgot about it. Had like an 18-minute first dungeon PB, and then I brought it down to like 17:30, just like pretty quick. Or not 17:30, 18:30 to 18, but pretty much the same difference. Right now we're actually heading to the forest to get the earth element because of the way the sword broke. We need to fuse back the sword with the 4 elements. And this is the first place we're heading to, and this poor lonely bird hat thing getting bullied by these Octoroks. We're gonna help him out. Unfortunately, we have. We're gonna try and get rid of him, but he's too clingy. I am out of game audio, but it's not too bad. It's alright. I'm just moving around, so no audio cues to be worried about. They'll get it fixed, I'm sure. There we go. And yeah, we cannot actually, we can technically, but it's a pretty much task only to get that first loop that cycle. Here's all the Picori, who we realize are there. Humans don't, but with the help of Ezlo, we've been able to shrink down to their size, and we can't understand them. We don't speak their language, but even though that's all in Japanese, we realize that he can, and he told us to get what is called the Jabbernut down here, so we can speak with the rest of the Picori and the Elder, which will let us know where the element specifically is. actually, the way you mash through text in this game is you hold B and you can pretty much hit any button. So when like menu options come up, we want to hit A, so be careful when we get there that we're not mashing on the directional pad too much, that we move the option to the wrong one, because most of the, actually all of the options that we want are automatically selected, so we don't want to do that. Coming up right here is actually the first instance of Ezlo text, where the whole thing is that we want to walk into it if we can, because if you roll into it, it decides to play the entire roll animation after. So even if you finish your roll animation into the Ezlo text, as long as you were rolling into it, you have to play the entire animation in delay until he pops up. So we want to walk into it as much as possible, even if we have to walk a little bit. That one is actually one of the few cases where it doesn't actually matter, since it's like, it's not a traditional Ezlo text, I guess, is the way to put it. Sometimes it's a little hard to turn and grab the mushrooms there. Yeah, that's a little bit of a bad pattern there with the slugs. Most of the time, not most of the time, but about half the time, you can roll through each kind of pair of them. Fortunately, I had to take a couple of hits and hit a few. Wrong pot. I'll grab a safety card there. Not too scary in this dungeon, but there's about 2 safety hearts in this dungeon that are pretty easy to grab. One coming just after this fight, and one right there. And you can actually mash really fast in this game, since actually the speed that you can swing the sword is just tied straight to the how fast you hit the button. As long as you're able to, well, the way I'm trying to explain it is that you can mash just as fast as possible in this game, so you'd be able to mash 30 times a second, which is pretty fast, but that's pretty much all accessible to tasks. But it does look quite funny when they're doing it in tasks, since the animation of the sword just kind of stays still. This lily pad section can be a little bit annoying occasionally, but if you have the right movement and kind of know where... I'm actually blanking on the enemies. But these guys, if you stand, really not too bad. Pestos, that's the name. I was never gonna let that go, honestly. Right here, it's actually kind of awkward, but for some reason you do keep an upward momentum even after moving into that wall, so makes that remote a little bit more convenient. Actually, one thing I did forget to mention, that fight with the caterpillars normally a 3-cycle, but if you're fast enough with your sword slashes, you're able to make it to 2 cycles, which makes it a bit faster. Yeah. And conveniently enough, the chews here also stay the same size, but compared to us, are quite big, which makes for a funny boss fight here. Actually, one thing about this fight, while I'm waiting for him to fall over, is that based on the first direction that he starts leaning towards, after he starts kind of wobbling back and forth, if you're on that side of him, whenever he first started leaning, he will fall after the third lean. So I want to stay on that side, whatever side he first starts to lean towards. He doesn't jump again here. Actually, that's pretty good. What can happen is he'll do a pattern where he just jumps up and down. That does save a couple seconds, actually, him doing that. And then after the fight, I want to try and line up in the middle of the arena so I don't have to walk so far. Alright, and that's the first element down. More to go, and then off to get off the arena. Excuse me. If you see me spinning around for no reason, that's just because I'm mashing and I kind of forgot where the end of the text box is sometimes. There's so many text boxes to kind of remember exactly where they are. So it'll happen occasionally. Didn't get it there, but if you input bomb and roll one after another, pretty much one frame right after another, you can happen to pick up the bomb and roll at the same time. And in this game, for some reason, picking up bombs makes them blow up faster. So we do want to do that. And it's also I believe, tied to how long you're holding it, which is the reason why roll lifting is actually faster than just picking it up by hand and throwing it. in most of the cases, you'll just see the bomb stay still. You'll see, if I get one, the bomb will kind of pop up a little bit. Yeah, and this is an instance where I want to try and stop mashing the directions. And then try and select the option without moving it. And also right here is going to be another. And right there, I just count the numbers, and then when I get to 3, I just stop mashing. It's kind of an easy way to go through that text. And here we're getting the spin attack. Your signature move of Link. I'm gonna need that to actually get out of the town here, because guards won't let us go to the west here unless we have the spin attack. I didn't get there again, but it's not too big of a deal. Just a little bit of a time save.
This is a friendly reminder that Calithon 2019 is supporting Direct Relief, a humanitarian aid organization active in all 50 states and more than 80 countries with a mission to improve the health and lives of people affected by poverty or emergencies without regard to politics, religion, or ability to pay. All of your donations going to are benefiting Direct Relief.
Actually did get one there. It's a little hard to see, but I did almost forget to grab those rupees since that is sort of new to the route. So that's another instance of actually just specifically picking up the bomb to make that blow up faster, which conveniently enough, throwing it like that is right about the time that I'm able to get onto the portal, so I don't waste too much time standing around. And right here we're actually getting the Mount Chrono spring water instead of normal water. Since later on in the mountain there's a seed that won't grow unless you use the spring water. We'll try our best not to pour it out, because we'll have to come back here to grab it. Conveniently enough, the gust jar is actually really nice for just moving around and grabbing on the mushrooms. Mushrooms here are quite stretchy.
And for those of you watching live, all bits and subs are also benefiting Direct Relief.
See this seed right here is what we're going to be grabbing. Which, oddly enough, compared to later in the game, which we need power bracelets for a couple of things, this is quite a big seed for Link, but this does kind of prove that Link is quite strong. Okay, usually you don't have to worry about the pestos there, but to kind of get them to either move or just wait for them to be out of the way, since that's pretty much one of the only spots that I can move that seed through unless I go all the way to the right side of the screen. So yeah, see, there's the seed growing. Now we don't have to worry about the water anymore. And now we just have to worry about our rupees, which are fine because we get all our planned rupees along the way. And for some reason, that this mushroom isn't actually tied to the lair. Like, it won't not let you use it from a different lair, so we can actually just skip going through an entire room doing that there. So that's quite nice. No bully. And so far, we have pretty good health coming out here. Usually, as long as you have about like above 1.5 hearts or so, it's usually pretty safe climbing up here. Where all the rocks aren't, because the rocks do have a heart. You only usually get hit by 2 max. But things can't go. Okay, alright, we'll see how lucky we get here with the rocks. But I'll try my best to kind of know. Sometimes they just bounce really weird. That's 2 rocks, so that's not too bad. We've got a little bit left. Okay, looks like we're clear, because rocks kind of stop spawning once we get to the top of the screen. And for some reason, rolling that way actually helps us avoid that P-hat. Yes, okay. The only enemy that you usually have to worry about is that tech type that's jumping around. I always forget to, but you don't really want to roll into that room there the way I did. You technically can hit it without the Ezlo text, but it's kind of awkward. It's really tight, so normally you just walk into it. And one thing that you'll kind of notice along the way with movement while I'm a Minish on a big screen like this, where I'm not normal size, is if I have to move like on the y-axis and the z-axis of movement, I'm going to be usually just holding diagonal and not rolling, because it's actually faster. You have pretty much the same travel speed total across both directions. So if I can do that, I'll just be walking at an angle. I think if you're task perfect though, rolling can be, it's like just slightly faster, but for general movement, since I'm not a robot, I'm just going to be doing that for ease of movement. Back up a bit here, just because the way that Helmosaur is, he can sometimes let his mask get sucked up, which you'll kind of see in the later dungeons. Or the next dungeon here is that you can suck off their mask with the Gust Jar, but we don't want to actually do that because we're trying to grab the mushroom. Oh, hello, Jeff. Comfy over there? We made it pretty well through the mountain there, since there's not a lot of... If we do end up dying, there's not like a really quick red portal that we have, or blue portal, or save point, so we pretty much have to go back through the entire mountain until we get to this village, which is pretty much like the all clear point.
So chat, Kermit does speak. If you would like to hear Kermit speak, donate now. $1, $5, any bit helps.
Oh, I can't hear you. I can hear you through your normal voice, but not through the headphones. So that's not set up. Probably needed that. Yeah, normally you can just place a bomb, but just for equipment's sake, I usually do that room by using the actual bomb arm. Since it's technically the same speed, but you can waste a little bit of time if you end up having them blow up before you hit them. It's usually not too bad once you've practiced with how the bomb arms move. And you get to save a bomb, which can be useful later if you're sloppy with your bomb placement. You can actually move for a frame there, jumping out of the car, which is just kind of a little neat thing. Alright, cool. This is actually a good layout for the bomb bombs in this room, since only one of them is in the front of the room, so I don't have to worry about the other one jumping in front of another one. Okay, that's pretty good. I got that one from over the wall. And you can hit these guys from behind, but more often than not, when you go into that room, two of them are right next to each other, and you can just suck off their masks and get to them really quickly. And sometimes you can get a third one, but I actually got a pretty bad pattern where only one of them was in the front of the room. But it's not too hard to deal with them. And most of these, the first two dungeons, is just going to be me trying to power through all these rooms, since there's not a lot of glitches. If there are, they're just usually minor time saves or just kind of, I don't know, awkward oversights, just like that mushroom kind of on the mountain there. And in this room, we actually used to get rupees, but because of the way we're going to get kinstones in a later room, it's actually faster to just skip these ones. And it's a bit more consistent, since we don't have to wait for rollerbites or prey on rollerbites to be in good spots. Sloppy roll. And we should basically be back to full bombs after picking up that bomb drop twice, which is pretty much required for the route. We do need quite a few bombs, but most of the bombs we get are not very far out of the way. Coming up in this mini boss room for the dungeon item, I do have a setup that's kind of an old setup, and it makes this a little bit easier since I don't have to line it up visually. But if I gust jar will mess that up a little bit, so we're going to have to do this kind of the very messy way. Did not let go of the spin quick enough, so this is quite a bit messy. A little bit of time loss, but it's not too bad. It happens. And life throughout this dungeon actually isn't too much of an issue, since pretty much like halfway through, just the shot. About halfway through, there's a bunch of fire on the ground that actually drops hearts pretty frequently, so we don't have to worry about our life too much. And because it's pretty much no time out of the way to grab hearts in this game from the bosses, we do usually have quite a bit of extra life to work throughout these dungeons. Oh. So if you're a little bit too close to the portals there before you start rolling, you actually will grow big again because it's tied to the same button, so it's a little bit too close when I do that. And because we don't want to be slow, we're just gonna damage boost through those guys. This room here is a finicky room. Sometimes you can get bad patterns. Just missed the ground. It was going to be alright, but sometimes the roll bites just don't move the way that you want them, or you bounce your sword off of them and then it bounces you away. So let's see how the rest of this goes. Upcoming is like a big room here, which is where we get to see the first bit of fire in the dungeon. Get our first heart drops, if any. Actually, two. That's good. These platform cycles are a bit dependent. We're going to be trying to make a couple of them. As you can see, like the first instance with the Kampaki, or Pachi, or however you want to pronounce it, it's Pacci is the way it's spelled.
We have a quick moment for a donation.
Yeah.
Anonymous donates $40, saying, "Nothing like Sunday morning speedruns with a cup of coffee. Thank you everybody for holding this." The couch requests, please send coffee. More donations. It's early for us here in California.
Yeah.
6:30 in Santa Barbara, folks.
So yeah, this is, we're going to be going back into this room, but it's going to be very platform, it's a hard word to say. Platform cycles are going to be very dependent how we move through the room starting from the first time we enter it. So it's going to be, see how my movement is if we mess up anything. Because it's quite a tight cycle, but we'll see.
So later on in the marathon, we're going to be having an Earthbound run, and there's still some naming opportunities if you're interested. Donations right now can go for naming Ness, name your pet, name Paula, favorite food, a bunch of great naming opportunities. Get those in before the Earthbound run later on in the marathon today.
It's going to be really tight. Oh, I just missed the camp. So we'll have to wait about 15 seconds here to get on the platform. So that's kind of the whole way the route works, is technically it's a bit slower to get the rupees here if we missed that platform cycle. So technically it would have been faster if I had known that I was going to miss the cycle to get the room with the roll bites, get those rupees, and then skip the ones in this room. But past that, and we're on to the boss here, who shoots fire, which we're going to want to avoid most of the time. As long as he doesn't sink before he stops taking damage, we're good for cycles. Run around and do anything that seems fun while he does this. I like to plonk my sword on the wall. It's fun, and if you notice, there's actually glee rocks on the wall too. Damage boost through the fire a little bit, just get it out of the way. hearts in this fight are absolutely not an issue because he shoots so much fire out into the screen. We can play in the fire if we really want to. I'm just gonna wait for him to turn. Fall to the top, because falling in different directions actually is a little bit different in timings. The top is actually the fastest, so that was pretty cool. Not having to walk all the way back through the fire is really, really convenient, because sometimes it makes it hard to finish off the cycle. Finally got the second element, so we're done with the main element dungeons until we get the Ocarina. Unbeknownst to Link, though, he thinks we're getting the third one. But I know that I'm getting the Ocarina.
And with that, Nubs, we have a $20 donation from Mike Ski, who says, "Want to fuse, Z? Good luck with the rest of the run."
Hello, Mike. He also runs this game.
You still have time to get donations in for our $20,000 incentive, and that is to upgrade the Mario 64 run from 16 stars to 70. $20,000 donation incentive.
Yeah, so our main quest right now is actually to go fuse the elements into the sword to upgrade it so that we have a split fuse, which becomes sort of useful. It's not really... I mean, it's kind of the gimmick of this game, but I mean, it will be useful to finish the game, but outside of that, it's just used for a couple puzzle requirements and a few bosses, but in Overworld, it's not used for any speed tech or anything. It would be kind of cool if there was some way to be out of bounds, I guess, with the clones. And that tablet shows up there miraculously to show us how to use the power. Very convenient. So you'll see the gauge pop up there, and then once it's full, then when we walk over those tiles, we can split into multiple links, and at this current point, we can just make one point. But as you might expect, there's four of those splitters there, so we're able to make 3 extra clones of ourselves over the course of the rest of the game. And since there's 2 elements, we will be able to use those 2 elements to do that. Here's Vadi revisiting us, trying to troll us a little bit. He sees we're up to our antics, trying to fix the things that he ruined. roll and mash right there to get rid of those, because otherwise the moblins can be a bit dangerous, because their spear attack will come out in a frame basically and hit you, and there's like a little bit of a delay between attacks, but their attack can just start up immediately, which does about half heart damage at this point in the game, which with both of them on the screen can really make it difficult to keep our hearts up for the next section in Caster Wilds after we're done moving through Castletown and doing the main quest that we're up to, which is grabbing the Pegasus boots. The Pegasus boots, that's not what they're called. And we will be grabbing water soon. It's not required to grab it a little bit later, but you can always grab it a little bit early if you want to. Just the menuing and the risk of pouring it out is a little bit greater, but just the way routing is now, we actually just grab it in where it makes it that we only have to menu once, so we don't have to menu to make a separate menu to pick it up. And then here's Vadi actually in the throne room, since the guards don't know how to do their job. It's kind of hard to do your job when the main villain can just teleport though, so I guess I don't blame them. And the king actually here ends up ordering. The reason why everybody sounds confused or has the question marks is because the king orders them to go hunt for Link, basically, because it's actually not the king anymore, because Vadi took. Actually, it's kind of unclear. I think actually at the end, it's just Vadi in disguise. It's not stated clearly there if it's the king or if it's just the Vadi, or if it's just Vadi in disguise, but later in the game, it's Vadi in disguise. And then every time we use a different portal type, we have to wait for this full animation to play, rather than being able to skip it, which is a little inconvenient for speedrun reasons, but we make do. We have to talk to these Minish here to let us know where the wake-up mushroom is, because the shoemaker here is a very sleepy guy. Just like at this time in the morning, I'm sure some of the people here in the US, if they weren't already up, were probably pretty sleepy.
Yeah, I can confirm that those sounds are coming from the game and not from the couch, in case you were wondering.
Yeah. Alright, cool. I got another roll lift there. It's kind of hard to see sometimes because the Link sprite will cover the bomb, but it did bounce, in fact. And in here, since they can't get in the ranch because they left, they can't find their keys, but conveniently enough, we'll walk up to them with their spare key that's inside their house. This is long range. Just passing through. Don't worry. We just kind of broke in your house. Though I'm sure he's a little bit, at least thankful that we grabbed the key for him.
Nebs, how long have you been running this game?
It would have been my junior year in high school, so like 5 years or so. It's kind of been on and off, but since the new route came out within like the last year, I've been kind of grinding it again for specifically this marathon, because I just really like this game. It's like my favorite handheld Zelda, and probably my favorite Zelda. Just pretty much one of my first games to play. And then that's why we needed all those extra rupees. We do have extra because the chest was a 100 rupee chest, but it doesn't really waste any time as long as we have 60 at least stepped in there. That's going to be the end of all our rupee routing, so we don't have to worry about those anymore. Actually, after taking that hit of damage, I just realized that our health is really quite good, at least. We haven't taken much damage, only one hit of damage, so we don't have to worry too much coming into Caster Wilds, I don't think, unless we get hit a lot in one of the next zones. Excuse me, I'm a bit burpy. But the next area that we go through, where we talk to the sign, which activates actually continuing through the rest of this quest, weirdly enough, that or going into the zone, but getting to the sign is a little bit faster. And now that we have the boost, we can go a lot faster through the overworld, so that'll be good. But yeah, coming into this room, one hit damage, but as long as we can avoid these moblins are the two biggest ones. We've got to avoid those blue octoroks too, which is actually really good. So we're actually going into this with really good health, so don't have to worry much, except for, I guess, this dark one now. There's going to be a lot of things that come up where I'm going to probably keep saying, oh, we don't have to worry until this, and then this, and then this. But yeah, this is kind of one of the somewhat difficult sections with health in this game, since the enemies can do quite a bit of damage over and over. I do want to kind of bonk off the wall here, since it puts me behind the dark net where I don't have to worry about him shielding against me. And usually when he whiffs an attack, you can get in 2 hits before he's too far away to hit him again. And we're gonna head off to get the bow here. And pretty much as long as we can keep our health up above like 1.5 hearts going into the kind of the next main section, we'll be fine. And this is where we'll grab the water, since it saves a menu doing it this way. This is a kind of a weird room to get fast, because they can really, there's a pretty good pattern there, but well, not really pattern, but there's good RNG, just because the way they move, they just go all over the room. And when I save and quit here, I actually really want to get through this menu as fast as possible, because I'm setting up a manipulation, which is going right so far. I want to get 2 kinstones here, which is good. I got both of them, because we're going to need those for the later part of the game to get a new item that we didn't get until the new round. So that one good. I didn't have to reset for the manipulation, which is actually really nice. Most of the harder tricks now in the game they're in spots where you just save and quit automatically usually, so you don't have to worry too much about saving and resetting for the retry at the trick.
We've got a bunch of great prizes available for those that are donating. The great thing about donating is that if you donate at the $100 level, you get entered into all of the prizes underneath the 100. Same thing goes for the $30, the $40, and the $75 levels, for all the levels actually. The top prize being the Disney Park bundle and tickets if you're in the California area. Some other great ones include a Nintendo Switch Smash bundle, a PS4 Spider-Man bundle, a Hori Pro arcade fight sticks, and more. Check it out.
Looks like we're going into this section with quite a good amount of health, so we're not going to have to worry. And then we're gonna fuse all these golden kinstones with these statues here, because they seem to really like it, with the smiles on their faces, and I would think so. They're gonna help us out with breaking this rock so we can go to the third element, which is not really the third element. Sorry, Link, but we need that ocarina. Yeah, like right here is that's like a big, good spot here to walk diagonally. It just saves on having to wait for the roll to end, since there's kind of a little bit of a delay on the smaller, the Minish rolls in the overworld.
And just one thing to note, that the Disneyland Park Bundle is available to all Disneyland parks except for the Tokyo one. So if you're in Florida, they work there. Disney World, pretty great.
Golem here a little bit. Or the Armos, my bad. Yeah. Since this is a GBA game, they do have slightly different art styles and sprites for the golems in this game. Or the Armos. I said it wrong again. They look like golems. You want to turn that one off preemptively, since normally when you go through this room you would just want to leave, but you later learn that he moves into that spot, that opening. So instead, we want to turn them off instead of powering them on, so that you don't have to worry about that. Oh, I didn't slide against the wall in that previous room quite tight enough, so I didn't roll quite tight enough there either. Alright, coming in this dungeon is like quite a... Oh, missed the grab there, so we'll make this lever pull, but we won't make the cycle rolling over the anti-fairy there, which lose time too much, but just a little kind of tight cycle that you can make there to save a second or two. Actually, conveniently enough, picking up skulls is kind of nice for that Armos, since one, it clears the skull out of the way, and two, it does two damage to him in comparison to our sword swing, which normally we'd have to hit him 4 times. So it makes that a little bit easier to get through that, or clear them out. And as you can see, we didn't quite line up with those switches, but the game kind of just gives it to us, I guess. I'm not really sure how it's programmed. And swinging at that guy just kind of deactivates him, kind of just tells him to get out of the way. I don't know why he stops aggroing, or his AI doesn't make him follow you, but works out pretty nice. I'll grab these hearts here, because we're a little low, because we took some damage at the end of the caster wands there. I was thinking of doing 2 different strats at the same time there. You do one strat where you hold the bow as you enter the room and just let go, but I try to do that, and then also do the same strat, holding it as I got to the other. Alright, that was a little bit better of a pattern than I got on the first one, but you can get them to charge the first time, which does It's like the optimal thing to get from a Armo or a Dark Nut, where they kind of stick themselves against the wall that way. So you don't have to kind of move around them again, because since they're stuck against the wall, they don't move away from you. You just see them quit there, not leave the room. I don't know what I'm thinking. Oh yeah, so because, like I said before, they move away from you, so you can't hit them again. You can hit them again because they're not. Oh, I almost forgot the red rupee. It is integral to the route. It's been bad. I have to go to the one in town, which does waste a little bit of time, but it was the one we used to get before some route changes to this dungeon too. We're gonna be doing a trick here. Let's see if I get it. I missed the clank there. I think, yeah, I didn't get the right frame there. Let's try it one more time. That looks good. So that's actually like one of the first hard tricks to learn in this game. It's not super hard once you know most ins out of the trick, but it can be a bit frustrating to some of the newer runners, but we got through it all right, not wasting a ton of time. Didn't get the, what can happen is if you change your D-pad direction too early, it will actually make you go into like a really slowed down animation of you clanking off of the portal, which takes like 15 seconds just to wait for the animation to finish before you can even do anything, which is quite a bit of time loss. You get it, so that's at least the one thing you want to try and avoid, if anything. Though at the end of the run here, we might be a little low on bombs just because we had to use 2 extra. It should be fine since we're not clipping through the arm there. That's kind of interesting. It's kind of weird hit interactions when you're actually hitting the eyeball in the hand. I think you'll see sometimes that the hand can't even actually hit you. It's really weird. But it's pretty useful. And the way we route through these rooms, or this room specifically, during the fight, is that we want to go specifically into the location where obviously the pillar hasn't or has been. We don't want to go there because it won't repeat the same pillar twice in a row. So since we got the front left or the front right one, we'll just start going to the left instead. Got the worst pattern after that. That went alright. So, not too bad. But we're still alive. That's all that matters. Fill up on hearts, and we're gonna grab the item that kind of breaks this game wide open.
And with that, this is a reminder that Calithon 2019 is benefiting Direct Relief. Help us get to $20,000, folks. $20,000 raised, and we have reached the Mario 64 incentive for 70 star. Help us get there.
So you'll notice that with the first use there, that's the reason why we grabbed that Wind Crest early on in the game. Just so we can unlock that, and then we're gonna start fusing with the tingles here. There's 4 of them, which we never normally get in the game since it's an optional item, but the way this item works is very similar to one of the other items we get, which we figured a glitch out for originally. So now we pick up those since it skips quite a bit of a dungeon. which we already skipped quite a bit of. I'm gonna save and quit here to set up a save manipulation, or an RNG manipulation. Hopefully get a trick here, first try. Setup's looking alright. We'll just see if I get the actual... Okay, looks like we actually didn't get enough of the boots, so we'll try again. That should be right, I think. Alright, cool. Second try, no big deal. So that's actually a little bit harder normally, but the way that setup works is normally you want to wait for her to push you through the door, and then you move, but the way that setup works is it manipulates her to stop moving right in front of the door rather than walking a little bit further forward. So we can actually get through, or we can do an ocarina glitch, which you'll see me doing a lot of actually pretty soon. We can basically just set it up manually so that you don't have to do it. We don't have to do a harder version of that trick. So it does waste a little bit more time, I think. It's like a second or two, but I'll take a second or two for a way easier setup. Praying that I get it right. And we're coming in here for pretty much the only item outside of the only item from the actual main quest of the book quest, which we're going to be skipping a lot of and doing it. We're going to be getting the boomerang, the magic boomerang instead with the kinstones. So it's not the book quest anymore. It's the boomerang quest or the tingle quest. We're saving quit out of here since it's way too slow to go the normal way. We're gonna start moving along. And health actually throughout this section isn't too much of a problem, since we're gonna want to die for a. Sounds terrible, but we're gonna want to die for another ocarina glitch setup, similar to the first one we did, which was not a common ocarina glitch that we had to do during most of the runs until the new route, but we knew about them. But thankfully we have, since having to use the more developed, easier setups. But we'll have to do one of those later in Lake Hylia to get into the dungeon. Wow, that was quite a snipe. But I'll take it, since it makes that a little bit faster. Since I did forget to take a little bit of damage from the blue bulldozers. This is the second tingle. Apparently didn't press A. Oh my goodness. Started mashing, but I hadn't pressed A, so having fun there talking to Tingle, I guess. Just move away from him a little bit, just so we don't actually talk to him. I go to Lake Hylia for the first time. Normally this is like the first wind crest you would get. It's the only one that just automatically unlocks. But we grabbed the other two preemptively because they're easier to get, and we knew we were going to be using them in the run. So we got the introduction to the. Excuse me again. We got the introduction to the wind crests previously. Head to the last tingle here. Equip the sword. And this is another instance of pushing the block again, where normally we didn't really need to do that, but I should have all four fused. I think I have an extra kinstone from a random pickup, so we'll see. missed any of them. I'm preemptively mashing again. I do believe they already got rid of the red kinstone, which is good.
Got a quick donation from QWERTY. Asking the chat to donate more. If he can do it, you can do it too. Help us out, folks. Get us to that $20,000. We are getting ever so close. Any little bit helps. $5, $1, $10, anything you can give goes a long way to benefit Direct Relief.
I wish Link could give these 40 rupees, but he's just gonna hold on to them. Actually, one thing to note about the ocarina is when you call the bird, you want to move to the left, because that's where the bird will come in, so as long as we are moving that way, we do save a little bit of time having to wait for it. Let's see. So, bird. I want to kill that, and almost forgot to save. We do want to save there, just in case that we failed this, because that's no good. We're just doing a kind of a frame kill there to set that up so that we die right as the door opens, which we, alright, cool, we got it first try, so no big deal there. Another ocarina glitch, one of the harder ones to do, down easy peasy. And we gotta cancel that there because there are weird interactions with the certain layers and certain objects in the game when you're in Ocarina Glitch, and that portal happens to be one of them. It's kind of hard to use properly, and can kind of soft lock you if you're not careful. So we just Ocarina Glitch, or play the Ocarina to cancel Ocarina Glitch so that we don't have to deal with any of those issues. And this is going to be the first dungeon we'll see that's not quite much a dungeon anymore with all the new glitches that we're going to have. Or the Ocarina glitch, because it just kind of tears us wide open. And so, what you'll be seeing me do here is actually liking stairs a lot, because stairs are great. They're great for exercise, but not really. We're trying to do the Ocarina glitch, which I got there. If you walk downstairs and play the Ocarina, you will activate Ocarina glitch automatically, which is pretty much, it's very close to just pressing the buttons at the same time, so it's very easy to time normally, so it's way easier than doing the ones that we were doing in the old world. And normally we never had to do this block puzzle, because we would just go into the boss room normally, but or we'd get into the rest of the dungeon normally, but we do this now. So now save and quit. Now they have a boss key, because we do this now for a glitch separate from the Ocarina glitch, which we've had for a while, but we do actually need the Ocarina glitch to kind of activate it. But you'll see it's kind of makes the game not work so well. So does Ocarina glitch, but
we have a $1 donation from SF Asano, concerned about Kermit's health. I can confirm, though, Kermit is no longer dead. He's alive and active on the couch.
Alright, got that other one pretty good in first try. Well, besides going down the stairs. We'll count that as an intentional use of the stairs. So I'm going to swap to boomerang this, throw the boomerang up, and open the door while holding the boomerang, and the game doesn't quite like that. I'm going to look. Okay, got it right. I'm on the right subpixels. So now, I pause this game, I will go through the lair. No. Failed to get the white screen transition, so I'll just play the ocarina manually. But this also, having this boomerang here, which we normally didn't have, makes this fight a lot easier, since we can stun these enemies. Missing the boomerang throw though. Yeah, so that actually skips like the entire first half of this dungeon, which we normally didn't skip. We would normally get flippers and then do the entire left side of the dungeon, which would bring us all the way around out this right side here to do this, and then we do the left side and come out the right side, or do the right side and then come out the left side. But since we did figure out that trick, we can just kind of ignore that. First half of the dungeon, no. Just kind of clip all the way to that last room and have some fun.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, Rocket Shuttle has donated $134 to bring us up to $15,200. Thank you, Rocket Shuttle.
Oh, did I completely forgot to grab that key. Okay, we'll go back. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna have to do this a little bit over again. I did forget to grab. I totally went into this room and then forgot to grab the key, but that's only a little bit of time. That's the one thing we do need is actually to. I don't need to go down the stairs. I already opened the lever, but we did need to grab this key earlier when I was in this room before I had saved and grabbed the boss key, but I did forget to grab that. Which I think was actually the same thing I did last time around this game. Seems to be a common problem. You'll get to see the trick again. We'll make it cooler. But now we'll walk on the stairs some more too. Waste some more time. Yeah, it can be a bit finicky if your timing's off. So, let's see. Shoot. Sometimes you got off days, sometimes you have bad days. Sometimes you have good days. There we go. Did not need to go up that layer. Let's see. Shoot. There we go. Trying to figure out a way to get down the layer. I kind of forgot how to do that, but we will have ice physics now, though. There we go. Now I won't have to equip the ocarina. The reason why I won't have to equip ocarina there is because if you go through a white screen transition where the screen fades white, the game will deactivate the ocarina glitch. Alright, that was a little bit faster of a fight. I have wasted quite a bit of time there with trying to get that trick again with the key. But it wouldn't be too much of a problem now. now we're back. I should equip the gust jar before it, because it makes it a tiny bit easier for this fight, but not too much of a problem. That's just for ease of access. Because when he's electrified like that, you cannot actually use the gust jar against him like the other green chew, which we fought earlier. But it's going to be the same thing here, where we want to be on the right side of the... So, even though we can use the spin attack just for faster damage, it doesn't actually do much for the cycle speed. So, it's not necessarily any faster doing it, it's just kind of more of a fun thing to do. We do want to kind of keep him in the center, because he does wobble all the way to the center first. But this boss does not have his like easily manipulated patterns as the green one. So we just kind of have to deal with what he gives us. On this one though, we do want him to jump, because where he ends up landing is a lot more convenient. So we don't have to wait for him to be in the right spot, because sometimes he'll start jumping after that when we want him to do that, because then he'll be electrified and then we waste a lot more time because we're trying to use the gust jar to knock him down. Save and quit. Head on through the second half of the dungeon, but we're gonna go back to this blue warp here and do another ocarina glitch and break the rest of the dungeon. I honestly don't remember what the second half of this dungeon even looks like outside of what we do. Just like, I think there's like a second Matterpillar fight with two of them, if I remember correctly, but I haven't done it in so long because this half of the dungeon's been like this for a long time. Just want to avoid hitting the edge of that screen there with all the pixel vomit, because we'll bonk into it instead of actually going into it, because it's technically another edge of a room. But yeah, you'll kind of notice that there's a couple rooms in this that are just pixel vomit when you don't enter them quite the way that they're intended. It is a little bit faster to make sure that I am just low enough onto that lever that I'm standing over an object, which normally will despawn your Link clone since it can't be inside of a wall. So it makes it so you don't have to take the quarter second, half second to despawn the Link, because it just does it during the animation of the scene there. And another enemy who's just a normal enemy that ends up being a big enemy, because we're small. And this is one of the bosses that's very RNG dependent. It's not so friendly for speedruns, since there's RNG at the end of the fight that determines about 30 seconds individually with each pattern that you can get, in comparison to the fastest pattern. And it's just they can waste time, and it's not fun, and we don't like wasting time in speedruns, even though I've been wasting time forgetting keys and stuff. But one thing that is nice though is that if you stand in the corner, he does his attacks pretty much immediately, since he has nowhere to move. His AI doesn't play any instances to move, so it makes this second phase a bit faster. And we do have the lantern on preemptively for a lot of this so that we don't have to try and tail him around, because he'll start spinning around and around trying to avoid you from burning his tail, but since we can get to it way before he can, wow, I've never actually done that. That's an interesting sound. I didn't realize I could just stand there and make him do that. Alright, stop moving. Well, charge is a little bit of wasted time outside of the normal pattern. That is 1 ink, which is a middle pattern at least, which is about 30 seconds wasted because we have to wait for him to do this, so we just kind of putz around, play with our items. It's not too much of a threat. Health in this fight isn't too big of an issue, especially since I have like 5 hearts and I grabbed an extra one anyways. It's not really a way to manipulate him either. Okay, good. We did get 1 ink, which is the middle pattern. It's pretty average. So we didn't waste a ton of time. 2 inks, just a sad time. Evil boss. But that is the first dungeon. A lot of you didn't see like more than half that dungeon. So we might as well have seen it since I did waste a couple minutes there going back for that key.
In case you missed it the first time, get a chance to watch the second time.
In case you missed the boss door clip the first time, the new trick.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you donate just $5, that makes you eligible for 2 different game keys, one for just shapes and beats, and one for double cross. $5 donation enters you into that raffle. For $10, at the $10 level, we have a signed copy of Puyo Puyo Tetris and a signed copy of Destiny 2. $10 level donation enters you into all of that.
And we're off back to go fuse elements again this time. Though since the guards are a bit wary of us because of what the king told us, we're going to have to go through a typical garden extravaganza with all the guards and avoid them. In Japanese, it's, I think, the easiest version to go through them just because of the way their cycles are. Even though English, they're slower, they're just kind of easier to get around. For speedruns, like, it's a little bit awkward just the way their patterns are set. So Japanese is pretty easy. You can just go through like as fast as possible, and it's not a big problem. Ew, and I have sword on A. That's gross. Sword should always be on B.
Can blame the technical difficulties early on in the run.
Alright, now we have our 3rd element fused, so we'll be able to get 2 links now. 2 extra links. If you didn't have enough link, now you have 1.
Nubs, the chat confirms EU sword on A.
That's good. Alright, go down here. So actually, what's going to be happening for this next section here is that we're actually going to be skipping pretty much an entire dungeon. It's like a mini dungeon. We were normally supposed to go where that check mark was on the map, but because we got this portal, which is normally like you can get to this area early, but there's not a lot of access, but because we have the ocarina glitch, we can just go through walls and objects, so might as well just walk through people and kind of just skip over that whole entire dungeon. So we just go straight to this dungeon. So getting that red kinstone, which whether we go in Castle Town or like the new faster way, it's extremely convenient. And this next dungeon used to be quite a difficult dungeon, but there has been a bit more ease of movement added with, also with just the way, oh, did not throw that straight. But yeah, just the way that boss door glitch affects this dungeon, it's a little bit of an easier time through the rest of the dungeon, but we will still have to go through the first half the same way. Taking damage. The only damage I really want to take in that room actually is from the fire there, because it will make me run a lot faster. But I did not take damage from the fire, so yeah, this fight can be a bit tricky. Okay, I might have just got hit by those two wizards there, but just one extra cycle there. But if you do it right, if you place enough bombs, you can actually hit all the wizrobes like immediately there, so you can make that fight really, really fast. But as long as you get pretty much the first two cycles clean through, you don't have to wait around, because you can set up the next cycles. Alright, got that clean. That's good. That's kind of a tricky jump if you don't know your timings, but you got it pretty clean. And that's like one of the only real jumps that I'm like, even though I've done it a million times, I'm always just like a little scared to do it. But that's actually pretty much the entire hard part of this dungeon. The rest of this is just clearing a couple extra puzzles. But once we get to the boss key, we're which is actually kind of a weird theme with not weird, but kind of the theme with this dungeon and the last dungeon, the Temple of Droplets, is the boss key door actually doesn't go straight to the boss. It kind of leads to another half of the dungeon, where Temple of Droplets is like only like a quarter of the way into the dungeon. But yeah, so once we get to that, we actually can. Normally we would have to do the second half of this dungeon and get kind of the red portal and do a bunch of other stuff, right? Dark Gods, do a bunch of other rooms, mess with P-hats, which are in an annoying room, but we get to skip all of that, which is very nice.
We still have one naming incentive left, and that's for Earthbound. If you'd like to name Ness, or name Paula, name your pet, name Jeff, name other things, those are still available as donation incentives for Earthbound. Get those donations in now. Earthbound's later on today.
Completely did that wrong, but I still made it in the puzzle, okay? Because yeah, I think that was a bit different than I normally do the puzzle, but as long as the puzzle is complete, that is the goal. How you doing back there, guys? You doing all right?
Well, they're alive.
That's good.
You've got a lot of support in the chat, though, Nubs. They are rooting you on.
Thank you, guys. Actually, one thing I kind of didn't really mention is that you can kind of, when you're transitioning across screens with the clouds here, when you're using them to kind of go up to jump to the top of the screen, you can actually skip jumping. Oh, I missed my second tap there. But you can skip actually like jumping up the clouds, because it's actually you just have to hit the top of the loading or the loading zone basically. So you can just, as long as you can reach the top of the screen, wherever the clouds reach. Oh, I got the key grab anyway. Sick. If you grab the key while in the air, you still grab it, then you can keep flying. So swag key grab it is. Yeah, there is a way to get Ocarina Glitch actually off of that key, the when it spawns, because it's like a mini cutscene. But I'm not really worried about it in this run, so I'm just gonna not go with it. It only saves like 45 seconds, but it's like a one-time, one-frame trick. That's really awkward to time. So I'm not worried about it. Alright. Oh, that's a really clean room. Okay. Because the moblins in that room are like the only two random factors. Oh. Wasting bombs. Okay. But they're the only two random factors in that room. But sometimes you can get them to be on the bombs that you intend for Wizrobes. So that was actually pretty clean, making up a little bit of time, because just the way that is. You get the fast one. I'm gonna equip the boomerang again and grab this anti-fairy, because if you boomerang fairies, or anti-fairies, they turn into normal fairies, which is very convenient. I am going to swap that because I want that on A, because sometimes if you or on B, I want boomerang on B, because if you do it on A, sometimes you'll just talk to the door before you can even throw the boomerang. So actually, this is exactly me doing the new boss, the boss key door glitch, which just skips the entire half of the dungeon. Because we can do that, we can just, it's on the same layer. This is like a 5-layer dungeon, I believe. We can skip like the whole entire second half of this dungeon, which is actually also really, there's just a lot of rooms that are not fun to deal with. So yeah, the whole mechanic of this fight is to split into 3, hit all 3 eyes based on whatever pattern is. But actually, I'm just going to keep doing kind of that same similar layout, because it actually is really easy to just, excuse me again, it's really easy to hit the eyes, even like this. You can just hit all 3. But the whole thing is I want to avoid getting hit by these orbs. But also, you can, as long as you're on the top of the standing area, the clones, it doesn't matter if they're over that. So you can actually, if you do that same type of pattern, it's really convenient for not having to worry about dodging all the orbs, not having to figure out if your clones are on the Gyro, which is, this is the twin Gyro fight, which is what they're called. I don't technically want to diffuse there, but it's usually not too much wasted time in this cycle. That is a little bit wasted time though, if I get hit again, because that's the only thing is, if you have to refuse, it's a bit finicky to try and get back to the eyes. Usually you don't want to defuse because you have just enough time to usually have just enough time to what's the word I'm thinking of? I'm blanking. Now that I have time. You don't want to defuse because you have enough time that you can hit both cycles of the eye before the actual cycle is over, before you usually defuse. So it's a bit of time not wasted having to not defuse. That went okay. Pretty decent fight outside of like the 3rd cycle, getting a couple bonks on the mini Georg there, the green ones. That's the last main dungeon. So we're gonna go get the final element used for the 4 sword.
And with that, a couple more prizes. If you donate $30, that makes you eligible for the Hori Pro Arcade Fight Stick. great donation incentive prize. And also at the $40 level, there's a PS4 Spider-Man bundle. Get those donations in. Get yourself eligible for those prizes. There is always time to donate there. Donate now while we're still going for this run. Every dollar is going towards that $20,000 incentive for the for the Mario 64 70-star run later. Right now it's currently a 16-star. We hit the $20,000 mark, it becomes a 70-star run.
Fusing the last sword, and coming up here we'll have actually a little bit of cutscene. So if you do have more donations once I get to that cutscene, that'll be kind of a good time. Yeah, like 20 minutes is about the average kind of overestimate for the rest of this dungeon here. Alright, and then going on here, we're going to watch the intro cutscene again for some reason to re-explain the lore that we can't read. So if you have any donations, this is a great time.
And with that, it's a good time to remind you that Calithon 2019 is benefiting Direct Relief, a humanitarian aid organization active in all 50 states and more than 80 countries with a mission to improve the health and lives of people affected by poverty or emergencies without regard to politics, religion, or ability to pay. Every donation you make, donate now, goes towards this great cause at Direct Relief. We are here in Santa Barbara at the headquarters for Direct Relief, and every dollar counts. Thank you so much.
All right, and then we actually get this one extra frame now that we know the lore at the end of the cutscene here. But normally this is actually like a good, it's like a 1 minute 10 second cutscene, I believe. It's like usually a good like speedrunner's bathroom break. You know, speed run. Just go to the bathroom if you really need to, because it's like an hour and 40 minutes into the run usually. So go fast, you know.
SF Asano, thank you so much for your $2 donation. Every dollar matters.
That's the wrong button. So now you'll see we have 4 swords. So now we have 4 links. It's pretty nice. Actually, coming into this room, we're going to do a little glitch with the text boxes. If we dispel him and walk into his text box cutscene, little mini cutscene with text box, we diffuse them at the same time, and if we can get that spin, that last one there, off right before that, he'll defuse quite a bit, not quite a bit, but like a couple seconds earlier than the game kind of intends, so we do save a little bit of time kind of setting up for that. And right off the bat, we're going to start working our way to, you know, get the Ocarina glitch again, because it's nice and broken. Alright, first try. That's actually like a quick setup too, so up over these. Oh, yeah, quick turn. That's actually pretty typical, is if he's walking up or down in that area, he will just kind of target you immediately. And yeah, normally not supposed to go that way, but we can just kind of jump through the wall. Don't worry about it. It's just another glitch. And don't worry about this door either. It's intended, I swear. And we go outside actually to reset our respawn point if we save or whatever, just because it's a lot faster than having to come back out the door, that initial door that we came out of after the little bit of text boxes. I did forget to equip here, so we'll just do this the normal way. Completely blanked on that. Normally you want to go in there with a bomb and throw a bomb at one of these sets of 2, and then hit the other 2 with your sword, but I did forget to do that, but it's not like, it's like 10 seconds. It's not too big of a deal. And it also does save a tiny bit of time after that, though, because it was moving a little bit too fast. I'm not perfectly used to this D-pad, so it was a little bit finicky there. I'm going to screen transition that just so I don't have to... Because I want to get this screen... I want to get onto the screen with a full charge, pretty much. Or once I hit the pads, so then I don't have to wait for the seconds of the traps there. But now that we have that first key, we're going to start breaking this dungeon a lot more. Let's go get some keys. And this is a big instance of where we might just walk up and down stairs a lot. Speaking of, Link just really likes exercising. Yeah, it's just because it's like a one frame timing, it can be a little awkward, but it's usually not too bad.
While we're walking the stairs, we have a donation from J-Boy Mods. It says, Minish Cap is sick. Love this game. Shout out to Easy Low, the original Cappy Kappa.
So now that we have the ocarina glitch, kind of one thing I was manipulating earlier, I blocked. I can't believe I did that. Whoa, that was like perfect. Like pretty much a pixel perfect transition there without blocking. But one thing I was manipulating in the last, or in the template drop, which you might have saw when I was kind of trying to figure out how to get back down the layer, was I went upstairs, which will actually raise your height layer, but when you try to go back down, it's really hard, so you have to like jump off of ledges. So we actually can use that in our favor to kind of walk over walls. So we're an ocarina glitch in this room again to get another set of, or yeah, 2 more keys. This should be the last ocarina glitch of the game, if I don't mess anything up. Yeah, this is like pretty much a repeat of exactly what I just did, where I want to get another set of keys, or I want to come into this room after getting ocarina glitch, because we haven't gone through any white transitions where the screen fades to white and then we go into a whole new zone. And then kind of want to brush towards the top of that door and then come into this room. And we're in an entirely different tower, because normally the keys are separated by the towers, and the one first key we actually got kind of stops us from having to get one of the 4th keys from a different tower, because it's just way more convenient, because it's a lot more accessible, since we just need the 4 keys. And then, actually, this is the last ocarina glitch. Alright, cool. I'm gonna jump through this door, because you can jump through them backwards, but you have to be kind of in off pixels. It's kind of weird the way you have to do it. I want to roll in there because another quirk of ocarina glitch is that actually you can't use what's on your B button or your A button unless you roll to reactivate it, basically. Which is kind of an awkward thing, but it's not too much of a problem when you're doing what you're doing. Kind of adding too many menus there, but... Oh, missed. I double tapped A there, trying to mash. Normally you can make that, but it's not too much of a deal. Too big of a deal. Yeah, because the way that works is if you try to jump back down through that platform, you actually just fall into the void, since ocarina glitch doesn't keep active when you're doing certain things. I messed that up. Alright, so we're just gonna... Alright, that's actually a decent backup pattern to get, or to kind of not make that so terrible, because he takes 7 hits to kill in comparison to the first ones, which take 4, and then because of our 4 sword, these next couple ones will take 5. Or the red ones will take 5. I believe the blue or the white ones will take. It's either 3 or 4. I'm just gonna grab a fairy there, so I don't have to worry about health too much. Yeah, 3 hits. That's what I thought. I just wasn't quite sure. I'm just so used to it from muscle memory doing these guys, but yeah, we're coming up on the last key here. Just got to do this room. Whoa. And actually, these Gibdos here, one of them's the real one. That's the real one. You can kind of tell that. Oh, getting juggled. Ooh. Oh no. Oh no. I'm gonna try and get out that way. Alright, there we go. Usually that's not too much of a problem if you can get all 3 hits on the real one, but a little bit of extra damage taken. But you should be able to grab a couple extra hearts in one of the extra rooms. So I don't have to worry too much about that. And then now that we have all 4 keys, we're going to come into this room again where we got the blue portal, and we're going to unlock this, and then we're going to pick up these hearts. There is a manipulation that you can do in this section after you do the save and quit, but it's not something that I typically do just because it's kind of finicky in just that you have to have pretty much perfect movement through all these rooms up until the room that you want. So I usually don't go with it. I just practice the fight itself so that I know how to deal with it. But it is worth it to do, but if you're not usually comfortable with it, it's not too much of a time waste. The manipulation doesn't go out of the way really. I think because it forces you to get the hearts, but it doesn't really do much else. So, like in this room, you have to get like perfect slashes. So if you're missing, you don't want to miss. Yeah. The Ketons there are kind of annoying sometimes, but if you keep slashing, they'll just bonk off your short slash. And for some reason, actually, when you jump over the Dark Nuts diagonally, I do not want to get hit by that tornado thrust. That does like 4 hearts of damage. I think it does a little bit less on the. I really almost got really greedy there, trying to get the hits on the black Dark Nut there. Yeah, the charges are really good to have in this fight, just because these guys have a lot of health. Alright, and then we're heading on to Vani. That's the last of all the mini boss stuff, and so it's going to be all the final boss stuff now. Okay, a little bit behind, but it's usually not too difficult of a final boss. It's just it can be a bit tricky sometimes, I guess. It can be trolly. Did not want to hit there. I'm just gonna wait for that cycle to end. That is a little bit of a wasted cycle. But that did give me the opportunity to kind of safely get those the fairy there to get more health. The third. So now we start preemptively sucking up these black orbs so we don't have to deal with them on top of the eyes, because you actually will have to. Yeah, sometimes they'll just teleport before you can hit them, and sometimes he just teleports regardless. Like he won't even he won't teleport regardless of if you're hitting him, but like there are no opportunities to hit him. so that was a pretty good fight. Besides the little, sorry, I didn't mean to tap the mic there, but besides the little mishap with the missed first cycle, kind of making it a little bit longer, but keeps the heart, the hearts up. So this fight actually, the first phase is guaranteed to always have these front eyes, because you want to get the first 4. It's like the 4 eyes around him, so it'll be kind of random, like which. Alright, cool. That's pretty good. I almost did the wrong thing. Yeah, so you'll see the blue eyes, and then you can usually tell pretty quickly which eyes are the right ones. You can kind of infer, and actually one thing that does happen though is that the front ones are always the same the first cycle. Got diffused. The first ones are always the same the first cycle, but now he's on the fuse pads, which is a little bit annoying. Usually not too much of a problem, but I'm facing the wrong way here, which is, yeah, if I didn't have to wait for him to kind of move away, it'd be fine. So yeah, we actually did find a way to make this cycle, or the fight a bit faster, because what happened was, this is normally a 4-cycle fight, but we found a way to basically like overflow the damage into the next phase, sort of, is kind of the way it works. Like that. So normally you would have to do an extra phase and have to do that all again, but because of a random happenstance mistake that a runner had made, it wasn't even a mistake, it just kind of happened, but we ended up finding a way to kind of manipulate it to happen. I think like nobody even had caught it when it happened either. It was just like that fight seemed a lot shorter, so we figured out how to do it, and then ended up figuring out that we can consistently get 3 cycles if we instead of just slashing at each phase, we do slashes the first phase, do a spin attack, and then a spin attack and 1 sword slash at the end, which makes that fight just also a lot more bearable, because having to deal with him on top of the pads is, excuse me, kind of awkward sometimes. Just so I don't die by having to do all this entire fight over again, I'm going to grab a fairy, and then I'm going to also bottle one. Just don't want to die, you know. That's not good. We are getting close to the end of the estimate, so I don't want to take up that extra time. This probably would have been a little bit faster too if I hadn't forgotten that key in the Temple of Droplets again. Yeah, most of these fights, again, like the body fights, are usually not too much of a problem if you know how to deal with them. They're just, you can kind of just get randomly trolled. That's usually the main problem. I'm going to kind of make him move over a little bit, because if he actually is like on top of, okay, like that was kind of annoying, but what can happen is like, okay, well I guess I'm going to try and take more damage. What can happen though is like if his body's on top of this arm, which has happened to me before in like a PB pace run, it will literally just like, you can pretty much be stuck under him almost, and it's extremely hard to get out from under it and get to the arm, so you just want to be in like a really good spot, where usually off to the side where he is like a good spot. And now you just usually wait for him to, because you're invincible on top of this platform, to okay, got that at least before I got hit by the lightning. And then we're gonna put on the lantern, look for the right eye. You can tell which eye is the real one because the eye is a little bit brighter of a color. Alright, and then the rest of the fight should go pretty simply if I don't mess it up. Just depends on, it kind of gives me a little bit of a troll pattern, I would say. That's what it kind of is. So you kind of walk up close to him to kind of manipulate him to stop. So once I get through this the third time will come up pretty soon. So I'll let you know like on the third hit when time is. So if you want to be ready for that. Time will be coming up real close. Once I'll get 2 sword slashes on him, basically, and then that'll be time. And time. Alright, just a tiny bit overestimate. Alright, since we are overestimated, and we did have a little bit of an issue kind of getting set up, I'm just going to make it brief. Thanks to the Minish community, you know, they're great guys. It's kind of a weird, like, we don't play super frequently, but when we do stream, we're usually kind of into runs. So if you ever want to check this game out, it's a really great speed run. It is like very movement heavy for the first half, but the glitches in the end are really, really fun to do and really interesting. And thanks to they all shrunk. What the heck? Thanks to my couch over here, and just thanks to everybody for watching.
Kermit has been there the whole run, I can confirm.
Thank you, Kermit. But yeah, whenever you guys are ready to transition, this is kind of a really, really long outro cutscene, so whenever you guys are ready.
And thank you, znubz, for a great Legend of Zelda Minish cap run.